Hello and welcome to Trust Your Glitter podcast. This is Christy, and I am here with the astrology of May the 13th through the 19th. Now, we've had a collective energy rolling through the sky. So I am going to be referring to the fact that, yes, I'm going to be looking at pivotal transits and aspects of these dates, but know that we've been working through this energy and specifically since April 20th. So last week's episode, the week before's episode, and I would even say just kind of refer also to the fact that we've had a major total solar eclipse in the sign of Aries that's still having planets activate through the sign. So we still have Mars in Aries and the North Node's in Aries, very pivotal because the North Node is ruled, or the Mars ruled North Node right now. So North Node in Aries, our South Node is in Libra. Our South Node right now is Venusian ruled. So right now the planets that are in the sign of Taurus are also influenced by this North and South Node pool. So we have kind of this cosmic rumble, cosmic rocking, and just it's very much trying to find this balance. But again, the chaos continues in the sky. Even though the sun is in Taurus, earth sign, even though Venus is in Taurus, earth sign, and then this week we're also going to have Mercury enter Taurus, and I'll get to that in a moment. But we have a lot of, I don't want to say conflicting, but it is bumping. There's a lot of bumper cars happening in the sky right now. And if you want to see it as a game of pool, where I don't even think it's a game of pool. The strategy right now is reconstruction. And so with that, I think it is very symbolic that there have been these solar storms in the sky, and they are very powerful and intense. And I was thinking about, DNA activation and how, if we're going to look at this from the level of consciousness, we are breaking through. But that doesn't mean that as we break through that there's not going to be a fight between our old self and our new self. And this has been a reconstruction project that's been going on. This is a long-term project. It's just that the discomfort right now is supposed to be the norm. And so that feeling that we have is very different from, say, if you refer back to my episodes from last October of 2023, I talked about the transformation of the eclipses that we were going through then. The transformation of the North and South Node, the idea of, the life, death, and rebirth cycle. This is birth. And in this process, this is societal. So because that's happening simultaneously with, us just trying to live life, it's saying, yes, this is happening. How do we handle this? And so, this podcast is broken down from week to week because it does give like a focal point of how to enter our week in linear time. But this has nothing to freaking do with linear time. So to translate what's actually going on, Uranus, there's a lot of Uranian energy. There's, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction continues the lessons this week. And we open up the week on the 13th with the Sun and Taurus conjunct Uranus. And anytime the Sun is aligned with another planet, it's called a cazimi. So we have a Sun-Uranus cazimi at 23 degrees of Taurus. This is huge, and this week is huge. And I know that I've said this a lot in the last few weeks, but this week is just powerful. And it's powerful in a way that would maybe constitute as your inner knowing. Last year, and I did see somebody's take on what's to come in June and August, and kind of their view of, the mutable transits on the way, because we're going to be facing a lot of mutable energy in the summer months. But right now, this is fixed energy. Taurus is a fixed sign. Pluto's retrograde in Aquarius in a fixed sign. And I have to I have a blanket and a pillow and a heating pad, so let's readjust. Okay, so the fixed energy holds. And if we refer back, we're going to have kind of a callback between, the 13th, 15th, I would even argue 17th, and 18th to Venus retrograde, which happened last summer. Here's why. So we have this Sun conjunct Uranus shaking us up, shaking up the world. The Sun wants to enlighten, and the Sun is so active right now. Not astrologically, the Sun is active. There's these solar flares in the sky. I don't know if it means the internet. I'm still on the internet right now. If my podcast gets out there, it's meant to get out there. I don't know if there's going to be network outages across the world with these solar storms. But what I do know is that we're preparing for this Jupiter exchange back or into Gemini, which is going to create a whirlwind of information and is going to affect, mass, or with Jupiter being the expander and Gemini being ruled by Mercury. This is related to electricity and grids and communications. Uranus already is this kind of energy of electricity as well. So it's very interesting to see that there are probabilities and possibilities of losing electricity, or I want to keep reiterating on every episode is just keep watching the weather, the actual weather around the world. It is important to just keep understanding that everybody is connected right now. And I do wonder if as we go along, we're not going to really need the internet anymore. And I do wonder, because Uranus through Taurus is biological, Earth energy, more AI tech. But even without advanced AI tech, with these solar downloads, I do wonder if somewhere down the line we get in touch with the fact that we are neurologically connected to one source and we get that download. And so as we look at the Sun-Uranus conjunction, we're going to have some more conjunctions at the end of the week. We also lead into, what is the disruption that's going to happen? That's my whole, when I look at this week ahead, I'm like, obviously this is a big week of change. It could bring us so much in terms of miracles and instant change in our lives, but we've been seeing these, this is a long-term manifestation, so to speak. So even with the new moon we had in Taurus, on the 15th, we're going to have a first quarter moon in the sign of Leo. Now, when I said to look at a callback, so on this day, the first quarter moon in Leo is at 25 degrees Leo. This is what brings us a little glimpse back to that Venus retrograde that was last summer. It's a long transit. Last summer showed us something about our love, our heart, our romantic relationships, our self-expression. This is a test of will when it comes to expressing yourself. Now, if you're living your best life and you're in your power, this is where you lean in even more and say, hey, this is how I express myself. I might be a moving target on this battlefield, but you know what? Middle finger to whatever is trying you. And also note with this quarter moon, it's reinforcing the connection to last week's new moon. So I've been practicing first, the quarter moon energy. So every week we have a moon cycle, whether it is a new moon, first quarter moon, full moon, or last quarter moon. Generally, it's within, the week's time frame. And so this week is taking us and saying, okay, so we had a new moon last week. It was about manifestation. I have a bonus episode about that. The bonus episode about the Taurus new moon that I would say reference back to that if you need to kind of hear a little bit more information about that moon. With that new moon, though, we have a blind spot because Uranus is involved here. It was a Uranus-Jupiter conjunction. Uranus being involved here now is being reiterated this week and saying there's disruption. There is something that you did not see coming around the corner. Now, there are things we can't plan for in our lives, and then there are miraculous things, just energies where it's like, wow, this is really truly a representation of the fact that God exists, or the universe really has you, or your angels really, really got you, your ancestors, however you want to look at it. So because of that, I just want to say, this first quarter moon is very powerful. It's a powerful checkpoint for where your energy is, where your thoughts are. And on the same day with Mercury entering the sign of Taurus, this is a really good day to say, what have I internalized since then? And what I mean by that is since the summer of 2023. And over the last few weeks, I would even extend it. What have you learned since that April 8th eclipse? Because and I'm not a solar, I gotta turn this heat pad down, but I'm not a CME expert. What I could see from, say, an intuitive level or feel is, the solar activations with a total solar eclipse are very strong, and the solar activity has been strong throughout much of this year already. So obviously there is a higher force that's far greater than my knowledge or understanding that really wants us to activate on a level and really wake the fuck up. So when I look at this and I see that Mercury's entering Taurus, and we go from Mercury in Aries, that's like speak your truth, to Mercury in Taurus, which is like, okay, so this is, we're in Taurus season, all these planets are transiting through Taurus, all these conjunctions are happening in Taurus. This is a powerful energy, and right now, it's still, the spotlight is on Taurus this week with an emphasis on what did we grow from, because Taurus is, the great grower, takes that seedling and allows it to bloom. What did we grow from the 8th of April 2024 up until now? We're going to have more growth cycles on the way, but honestly, it feels like a different lifetime, and it's only been just a little over a month since that eclipse. Isn't that crazy to think about? That eclipse took place in April, and it feels like a whole other world that we have entered, timing-wise. So, see how far you've grown since just then. It's exponential. And with looking at that as well, with the stock market, I'm not a stock market expert, but I do have notes just based on a tweet I saw about sales markets and short stock prices. Again, I am not in any way a financial expert, but when I was taking notes, this is what came up in my brain. Sometimes when I write down notes, I just see that, and I said, for some reason, I need to say, watch how the sales markets close and the short stock prices this week. Now, on a level of Uranus, this can mean that we're going to see some global shift in the economy. We're seeing it with situations regarding people's access to their own money. We're seeing it with situations regarding, inflation. We're seeing it with situations regarding people being able to house themselves. So I just want to see what that actually means. And it's something that came up when I was writing out my notes for the week ahead. And on the 16th of May, we have the asteroid Pallas Athena entering the sign of Scorpio. Now, I'm putting this as a note because I think that when I was looking back at the eclipses of last year and those nodal cycles and really thinking through what that really meant for us on a long-term growth cycle now. Pallas Athena entering the sign of Scorpio gives us a bit of direction when it comes to the fact that we are no longer mush. We are no longer this energy of this butterfly in the chrysalis. I would like to say we're out of the chrysalis and we are transformed. Now, obviously, Pluto is always life, death, rebirthing us, but I think right now we're actually being asked to step into some sort of strength that we didn't realize we even had inside of ourselves. And Pallas Athena is the goddess of wisdom. So here she is entering the sign of Scorpio, which, represents the scorpion, but also represents sort of this exoskeleton. So as somebody who was, I was thinking about seafood, and I was thinking about like deveining shrimp. That's what came to mind when I thought about this. And I was just like, Pallas is literally entering the sign of Scorpio and being like, yeah, we're deshelling and deveining some shrimp right now. Because they ain't got nothing on the fact that all these outer planets and the sun are aligning this week. So I think the wisdom that comes to mind is lessons that we've learned from the past, where maybe our power was taken away, and now these Taurus energies are saying, well, fuck, that's not going to be. And I would even say, Mercury's going to technically be opposing this energy of Pallas Athena and Scorpio. So there is a message that comes through divinely from the goddess herself. So if you wake up and you're like, did I really just waste that much time on some bullshit that really didn't matter? That's what Pallas Athena and Mercury are going to sort out for us all this week. Now on May 17th, Mercury is square Pluto. Pluto is retrograde in Aquarius. Mercury in Taurus, so this fixed square in the sky. Now, with that fixed square, it can be tough. I have mixed feelings about a Mercury square Pluto in general. It really depends on the sign. It really depends on the nature of Mercury. So we want to look at the nature of Mercury in Taurus. This could be a very great day for contemplation. This could be a day, if you do want to turn off your electronics. This could be a day where you just kind of step back and really just say, I'm present mentally, but I'm not here for other people. The 17th of May is a good day if you can to really make that space for yourself, because this is a psychological day. It's a day where you're going to go inward and say to yourself, well, I learned this. It can also feel a little, it's not supposed to be an emotional square, but it can be if you haven't tapped into that energy in a while. So the way I would say on the 17th to really work with yourself is, I always say go to music. Music is great on the 17th. If you're a writer, if you're an artist, just something that you can do for yourself on that day. It's intense-ish because the whole week is intense. So it's an aspect of friction, but I've seen it in more interesting positions. So I've seen this aspect in a fixed aspect with somebody's personal chart where I've really learned a lot about the square. And I will say that the square can be something where self-sabotage does come through. It's a mental square. So if you're not sitting with your mind, that's where the trickster does come out with Mercury. If you're still, which is what Taurus wants, this will actually be something that you can grow from just in a beautiful way. And so that leading up to the 18th and 19th. So the 18th of May is another day to circle. So our big days this week, the 13th of May and the 18th of May. The 18th of May, we have two very prominent conjunctions in the sky. Venus is conjunct Uranus at 23 degrees Taurus. So we just had the Sun-Uranus cazimi, and now it's Venus to the stage. Venus is like, hey, what's up? This is about, what does your heart want? Seriously, when I say that statement, what does your heart want? That is pivotal. That is what the 18th, so the 13th brought us, like, cracking the egg. That's literally what it is, like cracking the egg, sizzling on the sidewalk. Like, that is a Sun cazimi with Uranus. 18th is like, all right, cracked you open. What the fuck do you want now? What do you want? And in a positive way. Because you learn what you don't want. Believe me, trust me. Last year's nodes gave us a lot of what we didn't want. Last year's Venus retrograde showed us a lot of what we didn't want. We're going to have a Mars retrograde down the road. We're not there yet. But what does your heart want is what this day is asking. And on the same day, the Sun is conjunct Jupiter. So that is a Sun-Jupiter cazimi. The Sun aligns with Jupiter at 28 degrees Taurus. I need to also note, and this was also in last week's episode, the fixed star Algol, A-L-G-O-L, or I like to call her Medusa, is at 26 degrees of Taurus. So the fixed star is basically this very chaotic energy already. Now, generally around this time of the year, the Sun is active or in an active alignment with that fixed star, just based on the fact that Algol is a fixed star. And once the Sun enters the realm of I would say maybe 23, 24 degrees Taurus to about 27-ish degrees of Taurus, I give it a wide conjunction. That fixed star is influencing the energy. The other piece of this is the first quarter moon on May 15th was square to the fixed star Algol. Now, I don't want to overly complicate this, but basically there's a lot of cards in the air this week. There's a lot of, just like I said, continuing this energy of chaos, continuing this energy of things trying to recalibrate, rebalance themselves, continuing this energy of just things are not in our control, something else is, and we have to just give it over to a higher energy because, right now it's about learning our power, but it's also learning the fact that the earth, Mother Earth, in this beautiful Taurus season is quite powerful. So I do see this as something where our cells are rebuilding from the inside out. And Uranus being, the 7-year-ish planet, and the idea that our cells rebuild every 7 years. So all of our cellular components from within were completely replenished every 7 years. I would also say that this is an energy to really, really appreciate the fact that we are becoming anew. I also think it's very symbolic that this is right after a new moon as well. And so on the 19th of May, we have Mars conjunct the North Node in Aries. So there is a fight this week. The battles continue. It's okay. It's part of the transits. It's okay if you feel out of control. It's okay if you feel the intensity. It's not the same kind of intensity that, say, those scorpionic nodes gave us last year. This intensity is meant for us to, it's so hard to put words to it. This intensity is for us to be like, you can't be left behind here. You see what's going on, and you have to make a decision based on all the data we've been receiving about society. So what's going on in the world with Uranus being, a revolutionary planet, with Jupiter being a great expander, there's a lot that could happen on the 18th and 19th, personally and around the world. And then the next day, so I'll go into next week as well, on the 20th, we'll be entering Gemini season. I'm not going to talk about that on this episode because that's going to open up a whole other energy right before we enter, or right before we have a full moon. So there's more to come. That's a little preview of next week. But I just want to say that because this is a huge week. This could be a groundbreaking week for a lot of people. Yes, there's a lot of fertile energy in the skies, or in the auras, or however you want to look at it. But the way I'm going to look at this week going ahead is like, I'm leaning into extreme faith. And that's the faith that, is personal for me. Whatever that is for anyone listening, leaning into extreme faith for yourself is imperative right now. So I just want to extend love and say, keep going. It's going to be a big week. There's so much potential for humanity this week. I want to look at it from the lighter tone, but there's also like a push and pull. So, if you are in personal, wars and battles in your own life, it's about you saying like, hell no, no more. What do I love? What do I want? What do I need? So take care and lots of love.